Madonna was in the middle of answering a question about her new album when her words suddenly became slurred. Her face went pale, and she collapsed right there on live television. What the cameras captured next would save her life, but what doctors discovered in the emergency room would change everything she thought she knew about her own body. It was October 14th, 2019, and Madonna was appearing on Good Morning America to promote her album, Madame X. She'd been on a grueling promotional tour for 3 weeks, doing back-to-back interviews, photo shoots, and performances across multiple time zones. At 61, Madonna prided herself on maintaining the same energy and schedule she'd had in her 30s. She'd been ignoring the warning signs her body had been sending for weeks: the occasional dizziness, the fatigue that sleep couldn't cure, and the strange fluttering sensations in her chest. But that morning, sitting across from host Robin Roberts in the bright ABC studios, Madonna was about to learn that even the Queen of Pop couldn't ignore her mortality forever. Madonna had arrived at the ABC studios at 5:30 a.m. after flying in from Los Angeles the night before. She'd had maybe 4 hours of sleep, sustained only by coffee and adrenaline. Her schedule that day was typically packed: the Good Morning America interview, followed by a photo shoot for Vogue, lunch with record executives, a radio interview, and an evening performance on The Tonight Show. Her assistant, Jennifer, had noticed that Madonna seemed unusually pale during hair and makeup. "Are you feeling okay?" she'd asked. "I'm fine," Madonna had replied automatically, the same response she'd given to everyone who'd expressed concern over the past few weeks. "Just tired. I'll rest when the tour is over." But that morning, sitting across from host Robin Roberts in the bright ABC studios, Madonna was about to learn that even the Queen of Pop couldn't ignore her mortality forever. Madonna had arrived at the ABC studios at 5:30 a.m. after flying in from Los Angeles the night before. She'd had maybe 4 hours of sleep, sustained only by coffee and adrenaline. Her schedule that day was typically packed: the Good Morning America interview, followed by a photo shoot for Vogue, lunch with record executives, a radio interview, and an evening performance on The Tonight Show. Her assistant, Jennifer, had noticed that Madonna seemed unusually pale during hair and makeup. "Are you feeling okay?" she'd asked. "I'm fine," Madonna had replied automatically, the same response she'd given to everyone who'd expressed concern over the past few weeks. "Just tired. I'll rest when the tour is over." But that morning, sitting across from host Robin Roberts in the bright ABC studios, Madonna was about to learn that even the Queen of Pop couldn't ignore her mortality forever. "You've spoken about how difficult it is for women over 50 to be taken seriously in pop music," Roberts said. "How do you continue to push boundaries at this stage of your career?" Madonna began her answer with characteristic confidence. "I think that women in this industry are expected to disappear after a certain age, and I refuse to do that. I've never been one to follow rules." But halfway through her sentence, something went wrong. Her words began to slur slightly, and she paused, looking confused. "I'm sorry," she said, pressing her hand to her forehead. "I feel a little—" And then she collapsed. Madonna's eyes rolled back, and she slumped forward in her chair before sliding to the floor. The cameras kept rolling as the studio erupted in controlled chaos. Robin Roberts immediately called for medical assistance while getting down on the floor next to Madonna. The show's producer was already signaling to cut to commercial, but the damage was done. Millions of viewers had just watched one of the world's most famous performers collapse on live television. Madonna was unconscious for nearly 2 minutes, her breathing shallow and irregular. Her publicist, who had been watching from the control room, was already on the phone with 911. When Madonna finally regained consciousness, she was disoriented and couldn't remember where she was. "What happened?"
she kept asking, trying to sit up despite the paramedics telling her to stay still. "Madonna, you're at ABC Studios," Robin Roberts said gently. "You collapsed during our interview. The paramedics are here to help you." Madonna's first instinct was professional damage control. "Turn off the cameras," she whispered urgently. "Please don't let anyone see me like this." Within minutes, the ABC studio was swarming with paramedics. Madonna's vital signs were erratic. Her blood pressure was dangerously high, her heart rate was irregular, and her oxygen levels were lower than normal. The paramedics made the decision to transport her immediately to Mount Sinai Hospital, just blocks away from the studio. Madonna tried to protest, saying she had other commitments that day, but her body was making the decisions now, not her willpower.
As they wheeled her out on a stretcher, Madonna caught sight of her reflection in a monitor screen. She looked pale and fragile, nothing like the powerful image she'd spent decades cultivating. "This can't be happening," she told Jennifer, who was riding in the ambulance with her. "I have a show tonight. I have obligations." Jennifer squeezed her hand. "The only obligation you have right now is to get better." At Mount Sinai, Dr. Sarah Chen, a cardiologist, immediately ordered a battery of tests. Madonna's symptoms, the collapse, the irregular heartbeat, the high blood pressure, suggested several possible serious conditions. The EKG results were alarming. Madonna's heart rhythm was severely irregular, showing signs of atrial fibrillation that had likely been developing for months. But that wasn't the most dangerous discovery. Blood tests revealed that Madonna had been experiencing small heart attacks over the past several weeks, what doctors call silent heart attacks, that don't always present with typical chest pain. "Miss Chacon," Dr. Chen said gently, "you've been having cardiac episodes. Your heart muscle shows damage consistent with multiple minor heart attacks. If you hadn't collapsed today, you could have had a massive coronary event." Madonna stared at the doctor in disbelief. "That's impossible. I work out every day, I eat well, I'm in better shape than people half my age." "Heart disease doesn't discriminate," Dr. Chen explained. "And in women, especially women over 60, the symptoms can be very subtle. The fatigue you've been experiencing, the dizziness, those were warning signs." Madonna's first reaction was complete denial. She insisted that the tests were wrong, that she felt fine now, and that she needed to leave the hospital immediately to fulfill her professional commitments. "I have $12 million worth of bookings this month. I can't just cancel everything because of some irregularities on a machine." But when Dr. Chen showed her the cardiac imaging results, Madonna couldn't deny what she was seeing. Her heart muscle showed clear signs of damage, and her coronary arteries were significantly blocked. "Without immediate intervention," Dr. Chen said, "you're looking at a major heart attack within weeks, possibly days. This collapse today probably saved your life." The reality began to sink in for Madonna. The woman who had built a career on physical stamina and relentless energy was facing the possibility that her body was failing her.
While Madonna was in the hospital, news of her collapse was spreading around the world. The footage from Good Morning America had been replayed on every news network and social media platform. Her publicist was fielding hundreds of calls from journalists, fans, and industry professionals. Speculation about her condition ranged from exhaustion to drug overdose to terminal illness. "Madonna health scare, is this the end?" read one tabloid headline. "Madonna collapses on live TV, fans fear the worst," reported another. Madonna watched the coverage from her hospital bed with a mixture of horror and fascination. "This is how they want to see me," she told Jennifer. "Weak and vulnerable. This is what they've been waiting for." But among the sensationalized coverage, there were also thousands of genuine messages of support from fans around the world, many sharing their own stories of heart disease and survival. Dr. Chen recommended immediate cardiac catheterization to clear the blocked arteries,
followed by lifestyle changes and medication to manage the atrial fibrillation. The procedure is minimally invasive, she explained. We'll insert stents to open the blocked arteries, but you'll need several weeks of recovery, and your touring and performing schedule will need to change permanently. This was the moment Madonna had to confront the reality that her body could no longer sustain the punishing schedule she'd maintained for decades. "What if I don't do the procedure?" she asked. "Then you'll likely have a massive heart attack within the next few weeks," Dr. Chen said bluntly. "And given the current state of your heart muscle, you probably wouldn't survive it." Madonna closed her eyes, finally accepting that her health had to take priority over her career commitments.
"Sheer willpower and adrenaline," Dr. Chen replied. "But your body was compensating in ways that couldn't continue much longer." The procedure was successful, but Dr. Chen warned Madonna that this was just the beginning of her treatment, not the end. Madonna spent 5 days in the hospital, longer than she'd been out of commission for illness in her entire adult career. The forced inactivity was almost harder for her to handle than the physical recovery. "I don't know how to not be busy," she confided to her daughter Lourdes, who flew in from college to be with her. "My entire identity is built around pushing forward, working harder, doing more." Lourdes held her mother's hand. "Maybe this is a chance to figure out who you are when you're not performing for everyone else." Dr. Chen prescribed a medication regimen and strict activity restrictions. Madonna would need to limit her physical exertion, reduce stress, and completely restructure her touring and recording schedule. When Madonna finally felt ready to address the public, she decided to be completely honest about her condition rather than minimizing it or creating a cover story. Her statement, posted on social media, was remarkably candid. "Last week, I learned that my body has been trying to tell me something I wasn't ready to hear. I've had multiple small heart attacks over the past few months without knowing it. Collapsing on television probably saved my life." She continued, "I've spent my entire career believing that willpower could overcome anything. But heart disease doesn't care about your schedule or your ego. I'm grateful to be alive, and I'm committed to the changes I need to make to stay that way." Madonna's honesty about her condition sparked conversations throughout the entertainment industry about the physical toll of maintaining high-energy careers into older age. Other artists began speaking publicly about their own health struggles. Elton John revealed his own heart issues, and Stevie Nicks discussed her experiences with cardiac problems. "Madonna opened a door," said music industry physician Dr. Robert Martinez. "She made it okay for performers to admit that their bodies are human, not machines." Madonna's recovery required fundamental changes to how she approached her career and her life. She canceled the remaining dates of her tour and restructured her upcoming projects to require less physical demand. She hired a full-time cardiac nurse and began working with a team of specialists to manage her condition. Her daily routine now included meditation, gentle exercise, and regular medical monitoring. "It's not the life I planned," she told Rolling Stone in her first interview after the collapse. "But it might be a better life than the one I was living."
6 months after her collapse, Madonna returned to performing, but in a completely different way. Her shows were shorter, less physically demanding, and focused more on storytelling and musical artistry than athletic choreography. "I'm not the same performer I was before," she acknowledged. "But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe there's more to entertainment than proving you can still do what you did when you were 30. Her cardiac condition required ongoing management, but with proper treatment and lifestyle changes, Dr. Chen was optimistic about Madonna's long-term prognosis. Madonna's medical emergency became a powerful reminder that health crises don't respect fame, wealth, or willpower. Her collapse on live television was horrifying for her fans, but her recovery journey inspired conversations about aging, health awareness, and the importance of listening to our bodies. "If someone as strong as Madonna can have a heart attack," said fan Sarah Williams, "then any of us can." Her honesty probably saved lives by encouraging people to get their hearts checked. Madonna's collapse and recovery changed how the entertainment industry approaches performer health, particularly for older artists. Tours now include mandatory medical supervision, and record companies have become more aware of the physical demands they place on aging performers. More importantly, Madonna's experience showed that vulnerability doesn't diminish strength. It can actually enhance it. Her willingness to acknowledge her mortality and make necessary changes demonstrated a different kind of courage than her decades of boundary-pushing performances. Today, Madonna continues to perform and create, but within the limits her body requires. Her collapse on Good Morning America was terrifying to witness, but it ultimately gave her something more valuable than any hit song or sold-out tour. It gave her more time. The medical emergency that could have ended her career instead transformed it, forcing her to find new ways to connect with audiences and new definitions of success that didn't require sacrificing her health. Madonna's collapse reminded the world that even the strongest among us are human, and that sometimes our bodies know what's best for us, even when our minds refuse to listen. If this story of health awareness and survival moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear about the importance of listening to their body's warning signs. Have you ever ignored symptoms that turned out to be serious? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible stories about the moments that change everything.